Hello again there, ESC Insight followers. This is Ben Robertson here speaking to you, and welcome to week 2 of this journey around Sweden following, of course, Melodifestival. We've got to start the story by looking at last week, and of course, what a great production as always from SVT. Absolutely no surprise there. The thing that really stood out to me that I noticed is the effort that SVT are making to reach out to all demographics this year. Not even in terms of artists, you have the young artists, the old artists, the YouTubers and so on, but also in terms of the memories and the interval acts in the show. Jan Johansson, you'll hear his name come up later on, and also Sean Banana being involved in the interval acts. Famous Melodifestival singers from different eras, giving something for everybody watching to like, remember, and maybe tell a story to their children. This family show. And SVT really making an effort with this. They've got the Hall of Fame as well. That was first seeing some of the names in the Hall of Fame on Saturday's show. It's a real initiative to prove that Melodifestival is far more than just having a song to go to Eurovision. There's so many different ways to win the competition, so many more lasting memories, because this is such an important part of Swedish culture. But away from all of that, you've got to discuss the competition itself. And there was absolutely no surprises in the top 4 last week. What I would say, though, is there was some surprises with the order of that show. Early on in the week, Malou Pritz and Felix Salmon, they were the ones tipped to go to the final. In the end, they're only making Anderkvansen. I think Malou's performance possibly overplayed the Sia references, both musically and on stage. And performance-wise, while Malou was solid, I don't think she had the legs vocally to take it beyond just her fan base. So it's an Anderkvansen, and I don't think it's a contender for the final. Felix Sandman, though, I said straight from the beginning, this song takes many listens. And it's about a tough topic, about the fact you don't have to be a tough guy all the time, and you can actually let what's inside if you come out sometimes. Is that a topic people actually pick up the phone and vote for, or press the button in their app? Perhaps not. A straight up pop song might have done better, but Felix has been here before. He's twice been in Anderkvansen. The last time he was there, he actually ended up in second place. Do not rule this one out, especially now it's got tons of radio airplay, so it's got every chance of not just getting to the final, but actually scoring really, really well when it does get there. Robin Bengtsson took his place. Of course, he won Melodifestival in 2017, and he is still incredibly popular. He's popular as well with all ages, and that's really important with the app, because the app voting, which is 7/8 of the voting at this stage, is divided into different age groups. Robin Bengtsson, been on Let's Dance last year, he's popular with children, teenagers, adults, mothers, grandmothers. Getting votes from all different demographics is incredibly important at this stage of Melodifestivalen. The song-wise, don't think much of it. I think it runs out of steam in the 3 minutes, and I don't see it as a contender in Friends right now, but in a sense, Robin's mission's accomplished. He's got to the final, he's kept his fame in Sweden high, his reputation's intact. That's success. And success too for the Mamas. This is a wild card right now, let me tell you. Lots of casual Melodifestival fans popping up on Facebook and in the workplace. They like this. This is the one for them. That's a very dangerous feeling, It's people like it outside the bubble. This is catchy. This is well sung. For me, no. Doing this for ESC Insight, I crave a bit more from my songs musically. It's a bit too simple in its structure, but there's nothing not to like at the same time. If there's going to be an accidental winner in this contest, that's the one, because nobody's going to vote against this. And that's especially true this year, because I'm not hearing rumours of the next Euphoria floating around. I'm not hearing discussions about how many massive hits there are and how Sweden's got to take Eurovision by storm. It could be that a song like Move by the Mamas is just enough and everybody likes it and that goes through. or maybe even Voice of Emotion has that path to victory by being a Spotify playlist mega hit? We don't know, but you know what? It's exciting finding out, isn't it? Now, let me start with where we actually are this week. Now, I've travelled all the way about 3 hours it took me on the X2000 train from Stockholm today, and I've arrived into Sweden's second city, Gothenburg. I tried to work on the train journey, tried to write some of the articles you see this week, but to be honest, those trains, they tilt all over the place. It wasn't doing me any good, but I was still able to be useful. As I stepped onto the plane, over in the next carriage, I saw this bright red tracksuit, couldn't miss it. And that was Mendes' fourth time Melodifestival, and stood out from a mile. I spotted him, sent a quick text to his manager, and half an hour later we're in the bistro cart and we had a lovely interview just now. You've got to catch that. Should be released on Saturday morning over at eecinsight.com to read all about Mendes' career, his life, the story of this song Vamos Amigos together with Alvaro Estrella. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a bop from what it sounds like. He's a lovely, lovely gentleman, but he was exhausted. Coming into Melodifestival and tired is never a good example. He's been over doing gigs in Chile last week. Absolutely amazing that he's, able to command this career that is completely global. Right now, I'm over in the Haga district. Thank you to the Tourist Information Office here in Gothenburg for the advice. Lovely little wooden houses down here, just a 15-minute stroll from Central Station. And they were recommending me that I should try these cinnamon buns. They have these classic Swedish fika cinnamon buns, all wrapped with a sugar cinnamon coating on the top. And they've got huge versions, like dinner plate size versions here down this part of Gothenburg. But instead I went for something a bit more traditional for this time of year, in fact. And that is a semla. Now, semla, they're the traditional sweet treat.
The ESC Insight podcast from Melodifestival was hosted and written by Ben Robertson. ESCinsight.com.
Almond heavy marzipan. It's an absolute luxurious treat, and something, you come to Sweden in February time, you're going to see these all over the place. Recommend them. Gothenburg itself, it seems to be quite a cool place. There's lots of interesting developments going on here. Dockland reclamation, this new development, and from what I've been able to work out, a really strong regional identity coming up here. It reminds me, in a sense, a little bit like Manchester is back in England, and how that's a city that's growing from strength to strength at the moment. Although Gothenburg itself, there's one problem that it needs to solve, and this week it so happens that it's going to be an incredibly important week for this problem. It's the problem of an arena. Scandinavium is the arena for Melodifestivalen this year. It was the arena for Eurovision in 1985, and it was built in 1971. To be honest, it's a lovely arena, but it's not up to scratch technically to host a modern Eurovision Song Contest. The main issue that we see with it is the roof on the top of the arena. It's not able to support the rigs needed for the lights. Now this very week, there are make or break political meetings to decide to go ahead or not with plans for a brand new arena here, a new Scandinavium. There's been plans, the council's put them in place. There's a coalition across different parties to support this bid that's going forward, and that bid is now being torn to pieces. We don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting week. I've got interviews planned this week to try and find out the story, because this question of an arena always fascinates me in the Eurovision world. You can host Eurovision quite easily without it being a big expense, without it being a problem. You've got enough hotel rooms, and you've got a ready-made arena. Gothenburg wants to host. Gothenburg wanted to host in 2016 and couldn't do so. Martin Österdahl took Eurovision to Stockholm. It was a far better bid. It had better opportunities. But Gothenburg really wants this. Would Gothenburg get the chance to host? Will the city invest in infrastructure that will make it possible for the future? It's going to be an interesting conversation. I hope it's interesting for you, and you will see this on ESC Insight this week. But for now, it's time that we actually go and get some reviews of the songs. Right, I am now back in the depths of the Scandinavian Arena in Gothenburg, in the press centre in fact. I have just heard the 7 performances on the stage, and this is what I think all about it. I tell you, it looks like a 2-horse race at the top. You've got, let's take the one you probably want to talk about most, and that's Anna Bergendahl, of course, the previous Melodifestival and winner in the lineup this week. Came back last year, got from Andrew Quanson, got to the final. Kingdom Come, the song here, is incredibly fast tempo. It's 148 beats per minute I clocked it out. But it's still an evolution of her song last year. And I tell you, there's a frustrating thing about Bergendahl songs for me, in which the lyrics don't have enough meaning to them. It's nonsense lyrics. But at the same time, there's a beautiful sing-along, clap-along quality to this. This is a modern take on Schlager, and it's got a fan base. That fan base, as we saw from Bergendahl's votes last year, is the middle-aged group of voters, because the app splits all the ages out in a different points at giving sections. Anna's going to get so many scores from people in their 30s, 40s and 50s. I think the inclusion of dancers on stage and the tempo of this means it should get enough points from the lower scorers to get through to the final. Whether it'll have enough when it comes to the grand final Melodifestival, and it does seem unlikely, but I think this is one for us. This is a song for all of the Eurovision fan parties for the next couple of years to go on the dance floor to. It's fun. It's really, really fun, and I didn't think I'd come here and say that. I wasn't really a fan of last year's songs, but the extra energy in this one just gives it the push it needs, and it really does work. It's a great formula. The other one to mention is Talking in My Sleep by Paul Ray. We didn't know much about Paul coming in other than he was hotly tipped. This is calm. It's an on-the-beat melody. He sings very well, although it's not a vocal gymnastic kind of song. This is that very modern style of ballad. There's another question here about if this will hit across all the age ranges. I think it will, but it's definitely, the kind of song that you may feel is more for a Spotify younger audience in that sense. But it's charming, and if he can charm through the camera as the song and the music does, then you've got a clear top 2 this week. The others are a bit missing out, you see. There's something missing in all their formulas. I'm not picking out Linda Bensing. Anna has the Schlager that Linda Bensing should be performing really here. Her song Alla mina sorger is completely derivative. It just feels like, they're giving me a space in Melodifestival and let me rehash some of my greatest hits into one so that everybody remembers who I am. I'm afraid if people like me and the people in the press room are not enjoying it and not clapping along to it like we did for Bergendahl's song, you're not even hitting your core target audience. There's a real danger Linda Bensing could actually finish last in this semi-final, I would say, right now. Those that could be in contention, if anybody slips up, Clara Hammenström at the start of the show has an up-tempo number, very Sacha Jean-Baptiste staging. It's very apparent, and it's confidently done. She looks great in this bodysuit as well. It looks like a pop song, and we know that does very well, especially with app voting. The same goes for Mendes. Mendes with Alvaro Estrella. Nice duo, lots of energy and chemistry between those two performing this. And again, if people want an up-tempo song, as many Melodifestival viewers do, they've got one there. The wild card is Miraculous Teed, song number 2, because Torsten de Flink, he has to go to court basically still, so SVT can't have him in the competition. So they've picked another artist, and it's Jan Johansson they've picked. I said I'd mention him again. C'est pour me is the song from 1995. This song is completely different. This is a very Torsten de Flink song, but people remember that. People remember him. He is very popular, and will he, just for being him, coming out and singing his song, will that resonate? Probably resonate with some of the viewers, maybe the older ones. It'll be interesting to see. If it's going to be a shock, it'll be him. But you've got a very clear top 2, and I suspect many of you will be dancing to Kingdom Come for the months and months that are following on. Next week, I have to go all the way up through to Luleå, just shy of the Arctic Circle it'll be. So plenty of fun on that journey up. But for now, we'll leave you and have a great Melodifestival in week 2. Take care all.